I will discuss about the thyristor in the forward and reverse condition, how it is behaving, how it is acting. Okay. My first question was that when I think you have already written that I had given that when the cathode of a thyristor is made more positive than its anode, all the junctions are reverse biased, outer junctions are reversed. I will write the question because I think some people may have forgotten it. Structure of a thyristor. I think I had initially started with the ideal characteristics of a thyristor. We will go back to the ideal characteristics and practical characteristics, static and dynamic we will be discussing. But today, because the numerical is there, so I will first briefly explain the structure of a thyristor, and after that there is a numerical problem which is going to help you in really understanding the operation of a thyristor. Okay. And what are the precautions you have to take to safeguard its, preserve its healthiness. Okay. So I am, this is the structure of a thyristor. Structure of a thyristor. Yes, everybody has drawn this structure of a thyristor. We have an anode which is positive. Positive voltage generally we apply here, and cathode means negative. This supply could be a positive DC voltage, it could be a AC voltage, and if the AC voltage is there, we will be periodically giving, this will be positive, negative, every cycle it will be changing its polarity, positive and negative. Okay. Assuming that anode is positive and cathode is negative, now just write down what have you understood. P, N, P, N. If I have written like this, sorry, it is N plus. I think, has everyone drawn this? Please say yes, then I am going to ask questions. This type of explanation would be in only the book by Baliga, and no other author has provided such an explanation. So this I have referred Professor Baliga's book only to understand real thyristor. Actually I have read so many books on thyristors, but the real insight about thyristors I could only understand after I read the book by Professor Baliga. So I want to explain the thyristors. If the thyristor is understood, almost all the semiconducting devices would be, you will have some good insight into how the semiconductor works. We will not be able to go to the detailed physics of every device, but fundamentally you will be able to extrapolate and able to understand and realize. Okay. Now if everyone has drawn this, then I am going to speak further on this, and then I will be asking questions and then I will be explaining. Structure of a thyristor. Below something I have written, I have not written what it is, so just draw it. Now what is this P? P means that, what is this P plus? Yes, Sunil Gupta ji, anybody can write on the chat box that anode I have put P plus. P plus means what? Please see that they have three junctions PN, PN. You know that it is a 4-layer device, a 3-junction and 4-layer device that everybody knows about thyristor. Now P plus means what? If not understood, you say I don't understand P plus. We have P plus, we have N minus, we have P and we have N plus. P with holes, correct. Ramesh Krishnan ji is right. Highly doped P, correct. Highly doped. Please plus highly doped. Very rightly, I think Sunil Gupta ji as well as Nishan ji has told, means holes are there. P types are having majority of holes are there. But P plus means more holes. So it will be highly doped. What is meant by N minus? N minus means what? N minus. Deficient. Very highly deficient. You see that it is highly doped and it is highly deficient. N minus is highly deficient. In the scale of this, doping is so high in this, and in depletion it is this N minus is so less. And the P, it is mediocre in between 50%. And cathode N plus is also, it is N type or electrons, N type is there, and it is also highly doped. So we understand that it is holes are more here. N plus means more electrons are there. Okay. And here it is moderate, that we know that electrons will be more here, it will be a normal holes will be there, and this will be highly deficient of electrons. Now where is the base, where is the gate circuit connected? Anybody? Sir, how do we define the normal doping? Sunil Gupta ji, basically I will tell you tomorrow or next class I am going to tell you. I think I have discussed this initially when I started my lecture. I think I remotely remember that I had given the doping concentrations. When it is P, when it is P plus and when it is P minus. Then we N, then N plus and N minus. I had given the doping percentages. If I have not given, I have the data, I will tell you. That is going to give you an idea that P means how much is the concentration, N plus means how much more, and N minus how much less. That data I am having, right now I don't have, so I will be telling you. Similarly, it is basically more. P plus means the normal doping is more than that, and P minus means normal it is less than the normal doping. Now I had told that if a particular semiconductor is having PN junction, another is having P plus N plus junction, okay, and then with P minus N minus junction, and one is that P plus N minus junction. Which is going to have more depletion layer when the reverse biased? Do you remember that I had discussed this? We have a junction with normal doping of P and N, we have a junction with high doping of P and N, we have a junction of deficient less doping of P and N, and we have a structure P plus and N minus, which is going to have the highest depletion layer, which is going to have the highest depletion layer. Which is going to be the most advantageous of all these three configurations? Yes, Sunil Gupta ji, you are right. And there is a physics behind it. We are not going to the depths of it. So whenever we are having this, so if the P and N is going to have, it is going to have more depletion means what? Okay, fine. You have said that that is why its width is more. So if P and N junction is made, what exactly you understand? What is the purpose of it actually? By having more depletion layer means what is in the reverse bias condition, it is going to be more means what actually? How it is an advantage for a semiconductor actually? Junction. Sunil Gupta ji, we are going slightly in depth. Anybody any idea? If the depletion layer is more in the, if let us say if it is forward biased, what will be the voltage across it? Sunil Gupta ji, yes, is a highly reverse biased voltage. Correct. I think Sunil Gupta ji, you are right. High reverse back voltage. Yes, correct. You are right. It means that now if suppose the positive negative voltage is applied across this, what will happen? If the positive and negative voltage is applied, what will happen? If let us say positive P plus and N minus, we are putting positive and negative, what will happen? Sir, my question is clear. If the P plus and N minus across this is positive and negative is put, what will happen to that? What will happen? It will be forward biased. It is going to conduct, it will be short, it is like a diode, isn't it? It is a diode. But if you put reverse voltage, then it is going to have the higher reverse breakdown voltage it will be able to withstand the higher breakdown voltage. So whenever we have one part is positive and one is negative, when you put forward voltage, it is no problem. It is going to conduct. You are right, Sunil Gupta ji. But whenever the reverse voltage is put, this is going to lead to, it is going to withstand, that semiconductor is going to withstand higher reverse breakdown voltage. So if, whether it is okay or not, is it advantageous or not? Is it advantageous to have the higher breakdown voltage, reverse breakdown voltage? Does it have any advantage? Yes, it is yes, because more is the reverse, so the rating of the device is going to be more. Okay, so that is good. So everybody understands. Similarly, here also, if you apply the forward voltage, it is going to conduct. But if you put the reverse voltage, this is going to withstand a low voltage. Now let us say, in this structure of P and Pn, P plus N minus, then P and N plus. Let us say positive is applied here, negative is applied here. This is going to conduct, this is going to conduct, J1 is going to conduct, J3 is going to conduct, J2 is going to be reverse biased. This is going to be reverse biased. Now, if the voltage is here, so what is this voltage? When the positive and negative applied, this is reverse bias, this is positive forward bias, this is also forward biased, okay, and this is reverse bias. So what is this voltage V? What is this voltage caused? I am just taking some more time because I want you to get into the depths of thyristor. Okay, please tell me, if positive and negative is applied and this becomes reverse bias, this is forward biased, this junction is forward, this is reverse. What is this voltage applied? What will happen to whether it will be conducting or not conducting? If across a thyristor positive voltage is applied, the first junction JV is forward biased, it is a short. This is also short. Now this is going to be reverse biased. So what is going to happen? What is this called? Voltage called? Not functioning, correct. It is not going to, basically it is not going to conduct. Yes, you are right, not conducting. So this voltage is called what? Forward blocking. It is a forward voltage, no? Forward blocking. This is called forward blocking voltage. Okay. Now let us say across this P plus N minus P N plus. Now suppose negative voltage is applied here, positive voltage is applied here. This J1, J3, J2. This is going to be reverse biased. This is also going to be reverse biased. This is going to be forward biased. So let us say you have applied voltage here. Voltage applied here. What are you expecting? This is a reverse bias, this is also a reverse bias, this is a shorted. What are you expecting? This voltage is applied, what will happen? Let us say this is 100 volts. Let us say 100 volt is applied, the reverse voltage is applied across the thyristor. This is reverse bias, this is also reverse bias, and this is shorted. Okay. So what will be the voltage across this? V1, let us say, and whatever the voltage across this V2. Let us say the applied voltage is 100 volts we have applied, and this is also reverse bias, this is also reverse bias, this is conducting. So I am asking the voltage V1 and V2, which is going to be more and why? Or whether V1 and V2 will be 50-50. Whether V1 is equal to 50, V2 is equal to 50. This is a reverse bias voltage, isn't it? Whenever the negative voltage is applied, it is the diode thyristor is not conducting. So in that case, the voltage is going to be there. So across, because this is shorted, so this voltage and this voltage you can measure from your multimeter. So I am expecting this V1 and V2 is there, whether it will be equal or they will be different. Is my question clear? Because understanding is important, then only we are going to solve that problem. Yes, Bakul Narayana ji, you are right, it is different. Now, which is going to be more or which is going to be less? And why? This is the question. You are correct. V1 and V2 will not be equal to 50-50%, they will be different. And why? Why will they will be different? V1 is less, people are saying V1 is less. Okay, V1 is less than V2. Yes, anybody who is agreeing? Who are agreeing? To Ramesh Krishnan ji is saying V1 is less than V2. Anybody who is agreeing or anybody who is disagreeing with him? How many people are agreeing and how many people are disagreeing with him? Ramesh Krishnan ji says, Bakul Narayana ji is very sad, sir. V1 and V2 will not be 50-50%. They will not be 50-50. 100 voltage you apply, they will be different, and V1 and V2 will be different. Ramesh Krishnan ji has said that V1 is going to be less than the V2. But V1 plus V2 is going to be 100. V1 plus V2 is going to be 100, but V1 is less than V2. That is what Ramesh is. Yes, anybody else who can just think, throw light on that? Now you tell me, this is V1, this is V2, this is your cathode, this is your anode. Now which of these R1, out of these R1 in the reverse condition, you know that they are going to act as an insulators, isn't it? So which is going to be more, R1 and R2, which is more and which is less? You know that when the reverse bias is there, this junction is shorted, so V1 and V2 will be like this. Now in this is going to be act as an insulator, it will have some resistance, and this is also having some resistance. The value of R1 and R2, whether they are same or they will be different, or R1 is not equal to R2. So R1 more hoga R2 se, ya R2 will be more than R1. Because when you are applying the voltage, this is acting as an insulator, this is also acting as an insulator. Okay. So R1 is more. Yes, who has said that? Sunil Gupta ji, you are right. R1 is. Why R1 is more? Sunil Gupta ji, you are perfectly right. Why R1 is more? Yes, you are right. Because this is having a more depletion layer, so it is acting as a more insulator. So more resistance will be there, less will be there. Okay. So that is why R1 is going to be more. So which voltage will be more? V1 will be more or V2 will be more? In the electrical circuit, when the voltage is applied and there are two resistors, R1 is more and R2 is less, across which the voltage will be more. This is, let us say, V1, V2, yes. V1 in which, now you are right, Sunil Gupta ji has rightly said that R1 is going to be more because this depletion layer is going to be more, and this depletion, because it is P and N plus, this will be less. So this will be acting as an insulator with less resistance, this is going to act as an insulator with more resistance, that is okay. Can anybody tell why V1 is more? He is right. Sunil Gupta ji is right. Sunil Gupta ji is right that V1 is more. Ramesh Krishnan ji, can you agree with him? Now let us say if voltage is applied and there is a resistance R1, there is a resistance R2, and let us say this is the current. What is the value of current? What is the value of current? If there is a voltage applied and there is a R1 and R2, and what is the current? Correct, you are right, Sunil Gupta ji, you know. I am talking about Ramesh Krishnan ji. What is the current? This question is for Ramesh Krishnan ji because he told that V1 is going to be less. Sunil Gupta ji has said V1 is more and is right. I just want to explain him what is the current in this circuit. Ramesh Krishnan ji and anybody for that matter, what is the expression of current? Current is equal to, please write, any one of you can write down the expression. Current, what is the expression in the circuit? Current is equal to, please think, because then only you will be able to remember it. Once you understand that, all the problems will be clear. Yes, you are right. Ramesh Krishnan ji, you are right. Current is going to be V by R1 plus R2, correct. So same current is flowing. Now R is more. So this V1 drop is equal to I into R1. V2 is equal to I into R2. R1 is more, current is same. So V1 is greater than V2. Is it clear? Yes, correct, Bakul Narayana ji. Is it clear why the V1 is more? Is it clear? Yes, correct. I think now it's clear to us. So V1 is more. Now let us say 1000 voltage is the reverse voltage. Can you tell me what should be approximately V1 and what should be approximately V2? This is the interesting thing actually. Now you have understood V1 and V2 is going to be different. Let us say the reverse voltage applied is 1000 volts. What is your guesswork? You don't know the value of R1 and R2. If I give you value of the R1 and R2, you find the current and you can give me the answer. What would be the approximately value of V1 and V2? Just have a guess. This is going to give you an insight into the semiconductor. How the doping is done, why the doping is done, how much will be the voltage across this and how much will be the voltage across this. Just guess it, what could be because V1 plus V2 should be 1000. V1 plus V2 is equal to be 1000. I just want to ask you, V1 is more than V2, that is also okay. V1 is greater than V2. I just want to understand in your mind, sir, I am thinking the V1 should be this much and V2 should be this much. Something, some guess. Please, everybody, please try to guess it and tell me. Please guess and tell me. Not possible to guess. Any guess? Addition should be 1000. Yes, I think Sunil Gupta ji is saying that it is 600 and it is 400. That is wrong, sir. Again, a new guess, better guess. V1, V2. That is not a correct guess, more refined guess. Yes, anybody else who can guess more? Because it will be very interesting. When I tell you the answer, you will be, arey, it's like that. So that is going to be your wow feeling. It is so much. That is how the doping is done. That is to make you understand that 90, and Ramesh is saying 90, 10, 900 and 100. I think Sunil Gupta ji is very almost right. 900, it is basically 950 and 50. So this is the level of doping we are doing. You see, so much less doping is there and this is so much doping is there in this. So this is almost all the voltage, reverse voltage will be coming across this, and only 50 voltage will be coming across this. If 1000 volt is put. Why and how this is done, that I also do not know. That is basically the experts on that can tell you, but this is what is the fact, that almost all the voltage is across these two junctions, J1 and J2. Majority of the voltage is across this P as well as J2, and against cathode and J2 there is very less voltage is there. So this is something I think you have come. Now we are going to that question. Now you will be able to understand that question which I had written. Shall I rub it? I am going to rub, and then again the problem which I had given you last time, that I am going to do it, and after that we can have a break or we can continue. Let us see. Okay, so I had given that when a cathode of the thyristor is made more positive than its anode, it means what actually? This was the question I had given. Please, if you are recalling, if you translate that into what I just explained, this is P, this is N minus, this is P plus, this is anode. This is going to be like this, big one, and this is going to be P, and this is going to be N plus, and this is going to be cathode. Now the question, when the cathode of a thyristor is made more positive than its anode, means what? Whether it is a forward biased or reverse biased. Please write down on your chat box. When the cathode of a thyristor is made more positive than its anode, then correct. I think Bakulji, you are right. So this is negative and this is more positive. So this is a reverse bias. So you know that if the 1000 is the voltage across this, 950 will be the voltage across this. Let us say V is equal to 1000 volts, reverse voltage, and only 50 voltage will be across this. Is it okay? Now this is J1, this is J2, this is J3. Sorry, yes, this is negative. Now actually, can you just see what actually is happening in this? If the negative is applied, what is going to happen? If the negative is applied, what actually is going to happen? No, so for forward wise you are wrong, sir. Sunil Gupta ji, the question is that when the cathode of the thyristor, cathode means this is made more positive compared to the anode, more positive than its anode. So Bakulji has rightly said yes. Okay. So it is in English, when the cathode of a thyristor is made more positive than anode. So it is a reverse bias. This is what he wants to say. This was a question which was asked in IS examination in one of the. So I have taken it. It is a very interesting problem. It was not found in most of the books. So it was researched, and finally I found that that is why I thought that let me research, because. So basically this is what is there. So now you tell me, when the negative is here and the P, this is containing maximum what? It is containing what? Maximum is P. So this negative, so all the P will be going here, negative. It will be going here to the negative terminal. So mostly what will be left here? What is the concentration here? What will be the concentration? If the P, because the negative is there, all the P will be taken by this negative, it will attract, negative will attract the positive to neutralize it. So what is going to be remaining here in the P plus? No, Bagulji, you are wrong. This P is holes. P are taken out. All the P's will be taken out. The majority, what will be the left out? Because any semiconductor will be having holes plus electrons. Holes is a majority, electrons is minority. Carriers, isn't it? Electrons, yes. So more electron will be here. So this is going to be negative. Okay. What about here? When the positive is here, then what are you expecting? What are you expecting here? When the N plus is there and the positive is there, what are you expecting? What are you expecting when the this means more electrons are there. So electrons will be attracted toward this positive. So what will be here? If all the electrons will be taken out by this positive, what will be left out here? Yes, please. If from the N plus conductor, it is going to be majority electrons. Okay, plus minority holes, isn't it? Now, if all the negative electrons, N plus means negative, will go through the positive, what is going to be here? What is going to be in this junction? Pakulji, you are right. Hole means positive, holes. And this is going to be negative, okay? It is electrons. Excess electrons, excess holes. Now, if this is positive and this is negative and this is N and P, what will become? What is this? What is this? If this is a P and we have got the positive terminal here, this is N and we have got the negative, then what becomes of J2? What will happen to this? This is acting as what? This structure is acting as what? This particular structure. Yes, forward biased. It is what? Forward biased? It is a conductive, correct. It is a conductive, forward biased, it is a diode. It is a diode. Forward conducted, forward biased. So it is going to be then finally, if it is mathematical equation is to be done, so we have got the P here and we have got the negative terminal here, and then we have got N here, N minus, and then we have got P here and we have got N here. And you know that this is positive, okay? And you know that this has been shorted. So this is acting as what? This terminal is shorted. So together it is acting as what? This is the question which was asked in the civil services examination in one of the years. When the reverse bias is applied across a thyristor, this particular structure is equivalent to what? This is the question. What is this? What is this PNN? Diode, yes. What is this? What is this? Yes, this is diode PNN. What is this PNN? This is what? Yes, Bakulji, what is this? This PNN is diode. What about this? Kindly focus the camera. Same diode, you are right. This is diode. So, the equivalent circuit of this is going to be, electrical circuit is going to be 2 diodes. Two diodes in series with reverse voltage applied across them. Here 95% voltage will be there, and here only 5% voltage will be there. So this is the answer for this. Is it clear? So two diodes in series, whenever the voltage is applied, let us say 100% voltage is applied. This is diode 1, this is diode 2. So voltage diode 1 is equal to 95%, voltage diode 2 is equal to 5% of the applied voltage. We applied. Is it clear? So this question was of I think around 30 to 40 marks question. So but for that they have to understand so much. I mean, so much of physics is required to be understood, then only you can solve this problem. It is not a simple problem. It is not given in P.S. Bimra's book, and many books it is not given. And I could also understand this only after reading the Baliga's book, which is a Fundamentals of Power Electronics and Semiconducting Materials. It is a very big book. It's around more than 1000 pages. So from that book only I could understand it. It is so complicated a subject. So the answer is that there are two diodes in series with reverse voltage applied, and across the diode 1 95% voltage drop will be there, and across the diode 2 will be 5% will be there. So this is a problem. I think it gives you an idea about whenever a reverse voltage is applied across a thyristor, it acts as two series connected diodes with 95% voltage dropped across the first diode and 5% voltage dropped across the second diode. This is the complete understanding of the reverse bias conditions. A thyristor, which is a 4-layer structure, when a reverse voltage is applied across it, this is how electrically or circuit wise it looks like. This is the voltage applied, total voltage applied, reverse voltage. So this is how it is. Is it clear to everyone? When the thyristor is applied, yes, I think Bakulji, it's clear to you. Very good, sir. Now we are going to now, whenever the reverse voltage is applied across the thyristor, it is acting as two diodes connected in series. Okay, with 95% of the applied voltage dropping across the first diode and 5% of the voltage dropped across the second diode. So this is the answer for this in the reverse condition. So it is acting as two diodes in series. So this is the thing of a thyristor. Now when the thyristor is forward bias, how it looks like, how the structure looks like. Now we are going to study that. Okay, the same thing we are going to study when the thyristor is forward biased. Okay, when the anode of a thyristor is more positive with respect to the cathode, how does the thyristor behave? Yes, so now we are going to draw the same thyristor. This is P, this is going to be N minus, this is going to be P plus, this is going to be P, this is going to be N plus, this is cathode and this is anode. Now you tell me, when the positive is applied and the negative is applied, what will happen? When the positive is, and there is more positive is there, lot of positive is there, what will happen when the positive is applied and so much positive is there, what will happen? It will be repelled. The positive of this is going to be it is going to be conducting. This will be short. PN junction, okay, it is going to, so the more positive will be coming here. And here, when the negative is there, more negative will be injected to it. So here it is also going to be conducting. Short. This is going to conduct the negative. So negative will go. So negative will be coming here. Now what does this become? So J1 is conducting. J3 is conducting. What about J2? What happens to J2? What happens to J2? This is N and this is P, and we have got here positive, here got negative. It is acting. So what happens to the J2? Yes, correct. So this is reverse biased. Is it clear? These are the typical questions which are asked in the various examinations, okay? And these are the fundamental understanding of the forward voltage is applied. This is so whether the thyristor will conduct. This is forward bias conducting. This is forward bias conducting shorted. This is reverse. Whether when the positive voltage is applied, whether it will conduct, yes or no. When the forward voltage is applied across a thyristor, whether it is going to conduct. Reverse mein, so you have told that it will not conduct because the two diodes in the reverse were there, reverse biased. In the forward condition, whether the thyristor will conduct or not. In this condition. No, Ramesh Krishnaji, how? Because it's a reverse bias, no. This is an insulator. Reverse bias means insulator. It is acting as an insulator. Yes, that is true. After breakdown of voltage is applied, that you are true. But let us say with normal voltage when we applied, we are not applying the breakdown. We are applying the normal rated voltage of a thyristor. So what is the voltage across this J2? Across these terminals, what is going to be the voltage? This is the applied voltage, forward voltage. The total forward voltage will be coming across these two junctions, N and P. Total. 100 is 1000 will be coming. Okay. So now, where is in this circuit, where is the, now you know that in thyristor there is a third terminal called the gate terminal. Do you know where is the, whether it is here, here, here and here? Yes. Where is the gate terminal is there? Gate terminal. Third terminal is called the gate terminal G. Gate terminal. Where the gate terminal is there in this structure? Whether it is in N plus, N minus, P or N plus. Anybody any idea? I think Sunil Gupta ji, you have read the book. Can you just tell me the gate trigger signal where we give the gate pulse for triggering the thyristor? Whether it is kept here, embedded here, or it is in N plus or N minus, or this P or this N plus. This is cathode, this is anode, this is a depletion layer, and this is what? Yes, now it is Ramesh, N and N minus. No, N minus 1 and N to dur ho gaya na. Whether it is in this or in this, whether it is in P plus, N minus, P or N, only one place it is going to be injected at P. Correct, Sunil Gupta ji, you are right. Gate terminal is going to be here. So what is this terminal called? P plus is called what? Anode. N plus is called what? N plus is called what? Cathode. This is called what? This is called what? This is called the anode. This is called the cathode. What is this called? P is called what? P is called what? Where the gate terminal is put. What is this is called what? Yes, please. This is called what? This is the real knowledge I want to give you. This you can very easily say, sir, anode is connected, so this is a P. This is you say cathode is, so you have said that cathode. What is this P? Where the gate is connected. What is this called? Please tell me what is this called? Guess. Any guess? Yes, please. This is called base terminal. Base. Why this is called not gate terminal? It is base terminal. Sunil Gupta ji, I knew that you will be telling it is a gate terminal, but this particular place is called the base terminal. I am going to explain you why it is base terminal, why it is not called gate terminal, why it is called base terminal, and this is called what? This is called what? This is called depletion layer. In a thyristor, there are 4 layers. anode, cathode, depletion and base. Why we call it is base? Because this, when it is forward biased, it is acting as two transistors, one PNP, one NPN. These are connected, and I am going to explain you how, when the gate signal is triggered here, how the thyristor conducts. That I am going to explain you. Okay. Sir, please draw this circuit and then I am going to explain. Everyone, please draw this circuit. This is our transistor, thyristor, PNPN, anode and cathode. And we have applied positive voltage here, negative voltage here. Voltage is forward voltage is applied. You know that when the positive is applied, this is J1 and this is J2 and this is J3. And you know that the gate terminal is here in the P, as told rightly by Mr. Sunil Gupta ji. Okay. So in J1, J2 and J3, this is the gate terminal. When the positive voltage V is applied, anode is positive and cathode is negative, P and N is forward biased, this is forward biased. This is reverse biased. This has already been explained to you all in the previous first session, and this is also forward biased. And we also know that J2 is reverse biased, so all the voltage V is coming across this J2, and total, if it is 1000 volts forward voltage will be coming across this, and it is not going to conduct. It is equivalent to a thyristor with forward bias is equivalent to two transistors, and these two transistors is, one is PNP transistor and another is NPN transistor. This is your NPN transistor and this is PNP transistor. So briefly, because I think many of you would have forgotten what is the transistor, so I am going to explain briefly about what is the difference between PNP and what is NPN briefly, so that you will be able to clearly understand. Okay. Now I think Nishanji has our Sunil Gupta ji, when is he joining? So shall we wait, because this is a very important concept actually. When the thyristor is forward biased and gate is triggered, it starts conducting. How it starts conducting? It's a very, very interesting and very important topic, and I think we should wait if somebody is not yet joined. So let us wait for another 2 minutes. So now, anybody, has everyone drawn this circuit? Please draw this circuit in the meantime, and when you have completed all these three circuits, this is the two PNP, one PNP and one NPN transistor. That is how the thyristor is broken into two parts. This is the normal thyristor and this is the equivalent transistorized model. This is PNP and this is NPN. This is anode with positive, this is cathode with negative. So we are going to understand electrically how it starts conducting. Okay, drawing, very good. So once the drawing is completed, we will discuss this particular aspect. This is a very interesting explanation. Reverse biased of a thyristor, we have understood completely how it behaves. It is behaving as two diodes in series with reverse voltage across them, and 90 to 95% voltage drop across the first diode, and the remaining 5 to 10% is dropped across the second diode. So this is the equivalent electrical circuit of a thyristor when the reverse voltage is applied across the thyristor terminals. Now we are going to discuss a case when the forward biased voltage is applied across the thyristor, and we have seen that the junctions J1 and J3 are forward biased, but junction J2 is reverse biased. That we have already understood. I had explained it already to you. Now we have to understand how it starts conducting when the thyristor, when the gate circuit, the firing pulse is given, how it behaves and how it starts conducting, and what happens to the current, how the current is getting built up. So that is all what we have to understand. So I think Nishanji and SG, you have to confirm whether I have to start explaining or you are taking time to write these circuits, actually draw these circuits. After that I will come back to this circuit. Briefly I will touch PNP and NPN. Everybody has drawn. Now PNP, this is a equivalent circuit of a thyristor, equivalent thyristor. When it is forward biased, it can be split into two transistors. One is PNP and NPN. You know that PNP, this is the first one, and this is NPN, this is the second one. Okay, so this is how we have split it here. The same thyristor has been split. The base of this is going to the collector of this. I will explain what is PNP. Now I will briefly explain first what is a PNP. PNP transistor and its equivalent circuit. You know, the transistor is having three terminals. One is emitter, one is collector, and what is base. So this is one terminal, this is two terminal, and this is three terminal. One is what, two is what, and three is what in PNP transistor. Yes. What is one called, what is N called, what is anybody who remembers it? Anyway, I am going to tell you. In PNP transistor is written like this, and its equivalent electrical diagram is this. I just want to ask you what is 1, what is 2, what is 3. 1 is called, if you are able to recall, you can say, you can write something, or I'll explain it. Yes, 1 is emitter, very correct sir. 1 is emitter. Emitter is E. Second is base. This is B. And third is collector, that is C. So 1, this is 3, so this is 2 is basically collector. I am wrong here. I will correct it, because here I have written 1, 2, 3. So 1 is equal to emitter E, 2 is equal to collector. It is designated as C. 3 is base. It is designated as B. Any transistor, it will have one emitter, one collector, and one base. So PNP is also having one is the emitter, so this is called emitter. This is called base, and this is called collector. Is it clear? This is the symbol of it, this is the depiction, and this is the electrical symbol, equivalent symbol of this PNP transistor. So what is difference between the PNP and NPN, that you have to understand. In PNP, emitter means it is current is going inside the transistor like this. This is positive. It is going like this in the circuit. If it is NPN, this emitter will be in the reverse direction, it will be outside. In this case, you see, this is called emitter because it is coming out. In this case, emitter, it is going inside. PNP, because the current is going inside, this is called the PNP, and if the current is coming out, then it is called emitter. Okay. So if the current is going here, what should be the direction of currents in this and this? I base and I current. Let us say the current flowing in this is IC and this is IB. This is the base current, this is the emitter current, this is IE current. I current is equal to, is going inside. So what is the base current? What is the direction of the base current and the collector current? The base current, the emitter current is the input current, input. It will be sum of base current plus collector current. Okay, this is the output. Now if it is going inside, then this current has to go like this, current has to go like this. Please understand PNP transistor. If you forget it, then it will be very difficult. You have to understand that emitter will, the terminal, the current is going inside the transistor. And once the emitter is going inside, the other two currents will be coming out. So the collector will be shown like this and the B will be, the base current will be going like this. Is it clear to everyone? PNP transistor. Current is going here, this is the emitter current. Base current is going out and collector current is going out. This is the understanding of PNP. Is it clear to everyone? P is emitter, C is collector and 3 is base. Is PNP circuit clear to us? Anybody who is not clear, you say no. Or if it is clear, PNP symbol as well as description. Others also confirm, because this is very important. If you don't understand, if you do little mistake, then you will not be able to understand this. Ramesh Krishnanji has also said okay. PNP is represented like that. The emitter current is going inside. Because it is going inside, the other two currents have to go out. So emitter is equal to base plus collector current. I think Ramesh Krishnanji is also clear. Is it clear to Nishanji and SG also? Is it clear to Nishanji and SG also? If it is not clear, you will not be able to understand this. PNP transistor, the current is going inside, the current is going inside, and the emitter current input is equal to base current and collector in all the transistor. Okay. Now, if it is going inside, the other two current will be going out from this particular layer. One is going there, another is going there. One is entering and two out will be there, as per the Kirchhoff's current law. If the current is going, the total current out will be sum of that. So input current is equal to base and then this is the current direction. The nomenclature has to be clear, because if there is a slight mistake in that, you will not be able to understand this. The conduction of a thyristor when the gate pulse is given. Now similarly, I want you to draw for NPN. Instead of PNP, you draw the diagram, circuit diagram as well as electrical diagram as well as the symbol as well as the schematic of a NPN transistor. Instead of PNP, we have drawn something here and we have drawn the electronic circuit. Symbol as well as electrical circuit we have drawn for the PNP. You please make an attempt for NPN transistor. NPN transistor will look like this. NPN. It will also have the 3 terminals, 1, 2 and 3 terminals, and it will be also similar to that. Terminal 1, terminal 2, terminal 3. What is terminal 1? What is terminal 2? What is terminal 3? And what is the direction of the currents? Please draw the direction of currents in the PNP I had already shown. In NPN, please do it yourself. And once you have done it, you say done. So that then I am going to explain you. NPN transistor. First, draw yourself, try to put the current directions yourself. The way I have done it for PNP, you try to do it for NPN. Now, when I will explain, you correct yourself. If there is a mistake, you correct it. Once we understand the exact symbol of NPN, the direction of the currents of the collector, emitter and base in both PNP and NPN, then only this circuit is going to be clear to you. Okay, that is why I am taking time. So, if everyone has done the homework for NPN themselves, say yes, done. Current remains the same. Emitter current is equal to base and plus collector current, that remains the same. Whether it is PNP or NPN transistor, emitter current is equal to the base and collector current, addition of that. Only the direction is changing. So that is what I am asking. One is emitter. Just like in our PNP, this is emitter. Second is collector, C, and third is base B. All you have to do is you have to just show the direction of currents. Done. Bakulji has done. Okay. Bakul Narayana ji has done. Others to do it, and then you check up whether what you have done and what I have done, whether it is same. That is what you have to do. Yes, others also please do it. Try it. If there is a mistake anyway, I will be correcting it. But please exert your brain. Little exertion is important, because then only you will be able to remember it permanently. What you have to do is that you have to just show the direction of the currents. This is NPN. That was PNP. Okay. Instead of PNP, it was NPN. Only the direction of currents you have to write. This is, let us say, emitter current. This is, let us say, base current. And this is, let us say, collector current. Again, here it is going to be collector current. Here it is going to be the emitter current. Here is equal to base current. I only want you to put the direction of the currents. That's all. NPN and PNP. Bakulji has done, others have not done. Please try to put some current directions. Then I am going to explain you whether you are right or wrong. I think you would have drawn this. Then you have to just put the direction of the currents only in both the figures. Emitter current is equal to base plus collector. This remains unaltered. Now only the direction of currents in this and this you have to indicate, like I have indicated in PNP. Yes, please. Okay, I think I am presuming that it is you may be finding difficult to recall. So in NPN, in the PNP the current was going inside. In NPN logically it is going to be out. So emitter current is going to be out. That you have to understand. Ramesh Krishan, good. Done. So you see, in the PNP the current was going inside. Now in the emitter the current is out. If the emitter current is equal to base current plus collector current, it means these two currents will be going inside. The base current will be going inside and the collector current will also be going inside. Then only this collector current plus base current is equal to the emitter current. Is it clear? So here also, if the emitter is going out, base current is going inside and the collector is also going inside. This you have to remember. If you remember, because many people get confused, they draw the PNP transistor but they forget the direction of the currents, due to which they are not able to solve the problem and they are not able to replicate the actual problem in the true form. Okay. Now you see, if you have understood this, is it clear to everyone? Please say yes. In the PNP current was going, in the NPN it is out. So both the base and the collector going inside. And that is why the emitter current is out, the base is going inside, the collector is going inside. Both the inside current, base plus collector, is going to emitter, which is going out. This is NPN and this is the electrical symbol of NPN. This is the schematic and this is the symbol. Is it clear? Let everybody say that NPN is also clear to them. Then only we are going to study this thyristor equivalent circuit. Very simple. PNP it was inside, so both were out, both the emitter and the base and collector were out. Here in the emitter is going out, so both the base and collector are going inside. That is all we have done. I think Ramesh is clear to you. I hope that, I presume that it should be clear to you. It's very logical. If the emitter current direction is known, the base and collector current can be easily known. You can already write it. Okay. So this is about the NPN. Now if you are thinking of this circuit, if let us say this is PNP and this is the anode, and if the anode current, you see the current is going inside, this is the emitter. If this is the emitter, the collector PN, this is the PNP transistor PNP. So the current is going inside the emitter and then the base current is going out. I base will be out and I collector will be out. And this is I emitter. It is going to be inside. I emitter is nothing but IA, anode current. Okay. Now in the NPN transistor, you know that this is the collector current which is going inside, this is the base current which is going inside, and this is the emitter current, and this is called the emitter current. Emitter point is connected to the cathode. The anode is connected, the anode of the PNP is connected to the emitter, and the emitter of the NPN is connected to the cathode. Please, N means it is negative cathode. So emitter of the NPN is connected to the cathode and anode of the PNP is connected to the, is it clear? In this circuit, is it clear the direction? Emitter is going inside, the base is going out and the collector is going out. In NPN, the base is going inside, this is collector is going inside, both will be, the NPN out will be going, the I will be out, and this is going to be cathode. So this is the equivalent transistorized model of a thyristor when forward voltage bias is collected across it. If we have understood PNP and NPN individually, I think this is very simple. We can easily draw from here. Okay. Here you see the base current is going here. This is the base. This is the base of PNP. This is the collector of NPN. This is the emitter of PNP. Okay. This is the base of NPN and this is the collector of PNP. Is it clear? PNP, the current is going, emitter is going out, the base is out, the collector is out. In NPN, the collector is going inside, the base is going inside, and the emitter is going out. So base plus collector is equal to emitter. Emitter of PNP is going inside and base and collector are going out. Is it clear, this particular circuit? Say yes if it is clear. This circuit from PNP and NPN analogy, is it clear? I think it is clear. I presume that very logical, it is very logical. It is going inside, so both will be out. And in the NPN, the collector and emitter will be inside and the emitter will be out. So it is very clear. So this is the transistorized model of a thyristor. Now where is the gate connected? The gate is connected here. The gate is connected here. Now you see, when this is forward bias, no, you know that this junction is reverse biased, that you know it. Reverse bias means this is having more N minus. And this particular is positive. N minus is positive, so this is PN junction, one is having negative, another is having positive, so it's a reverse bias, so J2 is reverse bias, that you know. What are we doing by the gate? What is gate doing? This gate circuit IG, what we are going to do in this? Yes please, Bakulji, anybody? Now we have put a gate, this is the transistor model, now we have put a gate terminal here, this is the gate terminal here, I gate. We are going to put, what are we going to put inside it? Through gate in the P base semiconductor, what are we going to put? Just think. This is flooded with electron, this is flooded with positive, that is why it is reverse bias, that you know it, that I have made it clear. When it is forward biased, J1 is forward biased, J3 is forward biased, but J2 is reverse biased. Reverse bias means that P side will be full of electrons and N side will be full of positive. That is known to you. By gate, what are we going? When we have to trigger? Yes, Bakulji, you are right, means positive we are putting. We are putting positive current here. So if the positive current is put here, what will happen? Bakulji, if it is full of electrons and if we are putting the holes, electrons and if we are putting holes, what is going to happen? What is going to happen? One area is full of electrons and then from gate we are putting positive, what is going to happen? Yes, correct. Negative will get depleted and this is also positive, this is also positive. So it will be flooded with positive. So this is already positive and this is negative, so it is going to conduct. So J2 is breaking down. Just because we are putting positive, so we will neutralize it. The moment you neutralize it, this particular junction barrier will remove and the negative will come here and positive, so it is going to conduct. The J2 starts conduct, it is broken and it starts conducting. Is it clear? When the gate positive holes are put, this is going to neutralize it. Because of this neutralization, this reverse bias will go out and it is start conducting. Because this was already conducting layer, this was already conducting, this was the blocking. So this blocking has been removed by injecting the positive hole inside the P. Is it clear to everyone? I think it should be clear. You can just say yes. Anyone, you can say yes if it is clear. How the thyristor starts conducting when the gate is triggered, and in the gate triggering we are giving only the holes, positive current we have put. Okay, so I think Rameshji is okay. Now let us come to this circuit of electric equivalent circuit. Now if the gate is triggered, Okay. So what is happening that this starts conducting, this transistor starts conducting. When the gate is put, you know this particular transistor starts conducting. That we have seen, it is broken or it starts conducting. What will happen if it starts conducting? If the gate is put, this starts conducting, this is NPN, this starts conducting, that we have seen. If the conduction takes place, the current is going here. This conduction means the current will be flowing like this. This NPN, the collector current will start doing. Short means that this current will go, this current will go, and finally this starts conducting. So this current is going to conduct. Now if this starts moving, what will happen here? If this starts, the base current of the PNP starts, because of the collector current of the NPN, the base current is drawn. If the base current is drawn, what will happen? When NPN conducts, the collector current will be drawn. This collector current is nothing but the base current of the PNP. The base current will go out. What will happen? Sir, if base current is going on, you know the base PNP, yes, emitter current will start flowing, correct? So this will also start conducting. If whenever the base current in the NPN, the current is going like this inside and the base is going out, the function remains the same. If the base is going out, the emitter current will be, or the IA current will be drawn, and this will start conducting IC. So this will go here. So the collector of the PNP will start conducting, so the current is going to go here. Then what is going to happen? Already the gate current was here, it was going inside. Now again, because of this conduction, this is start conduction, then this will start conducting, the collector current will start conducting. What will happen? If the current start conducting, what will happen? If IC is increasing and then again it is going, what will happen? Now in case let us say the gate pulse is removed, then what will happen? Once both start conducting, what will happen? We are not giving, the gate pulse is only given, it is not continuously given in the thyristors. Once the gate pulse, now more current will flow, yes. Because this collector current is going inside, so base current, so this will start conducting, it remains conducting. This because of this current, this IB starts conducting, this remains conducting. So it is going to be latched. It is called the positive feedback loop. The current will, more and more current will start increasing. The more current is drawn, the more current will be drawn here. The more IC is there, the more conduction will be there. Again, the more current will be drawn here. More base current, again more IA will be. So what will happen? If this positive feedback cycle continues, what is going to happen to the thyristor? Yes. Positive, negative, it is forward biased conducting. Now you know what is happening inside. The current is increasing. What will happen? Bakulji, you are correct. More current and current is going to get increased. It will be multiplying. Collector current will increase, the base current will increase, this current will increase, this current will increase. Like that, it is going to more and more current will be drawn. What will happen to the thyristor? If let us say the voltage source is here and the gate trigger is there as you have told, and then you know what is happening inside. I have already explained you. So what is going to happen? Yes, please. Yes, I think Ramesh, you are right. The infinite current is, this current is going to be infinite. So what will happen if the current is infinite? What will happen if the current is infinite? What will happen to the thyristor? Let us say the current rating of the thyristor is only 1000 amperes. So what will happen to the thyristor if the current is uncontrolled? What will happen? It will rupture, correct. It means that what we have to do to protect it? It means the thyristor will break. So what we have to do? Correct, you are right. Thyristor will break or rupture because current is uncontrolled. So what we have to do? Let us say this is 1000 volts. 1000 volts source was there and the current rating of the thyristor is 1000 amperes. What you are supposed to do? No, Bakulji, we are not going to control the gate. Gate has done its job. It has started. It is not going to do. In thyristor, the purpose of the gate current is only to trigger conduction. It cannot stop. It will start. It will give and start. Now the positive feedback increase will take place. Now you know that it will be rupturing. So what we have to do? 1000 voltage is here and the 1000 ampere is the current rating. Beyond 1000 the current, you know, it will be rupturing or it will be breaking. So what we have to do? To protect the thyristor, what we have to do? Because we can't control this phenomena inside the thyristor. Once the gate has triggered, it has conducted, this has conducted, the current, collector current is increasing. So slowly, this positive loop is going to increase current from the source. And the gate has no role. Once it has started the conduction, the gate stops. There is no role of gate. So what is going to happen? Yes, Nishanji, you are right. So you have to put a resistance in series. So this is called the protective resistance. What is the value of R? R is equal to voltage by rated voltage by current. So it is going to be 1000 by 1000. Is it clear? Is it clear to everyone? So we have to put a resistance in series, and the value of resistance, the minimum resistance is this. If the resistance is 2, the current will be coming to 500 amperes. If the resistance is 4, it is going to be 250 amperes. Okay. So if I give you this problem, I tell there is a load which is having a resistance of 0.5 ohm. Can you use this thyristor for that load? My question is that this thyristor, one thyristor is there, thyristor, its voltage rating is 1000 volts, current rating is 1000 amperes. Okay, so there is a thyristor, there is a voltage source, then we have got RL is equal, and this thyristor is there, and its current rating is 1000 amperes. Yes, please. Nishanji, you are very right that now I am just asking this question. The thyristor is having a voltage current rating of 1000 volts and current. So 1000 voltage we have applied, and beyond 1000, so whether this thyristor will be saved now, the load resistance is only 0.5. We have a load of only 0.5 ohms. Whether this thyristor is suitable for this load, yes or no, and why? Is my question clear? The load resistance is equal to 0.5 ohms, and we have to put a thyristor of voltage rating and current rating. This will it be okay for the thyristor? No, I am. This is not my question, sir. My question is that the load resistance is only 0.5 ohms, and the voltage is this. Whether this thyristor is suitable for it or not. If it is not suitable, what should be the revised rating of the? Yes, you are right. What should be the revised rating of the thyristor? Correct, Ramesh, you are right. Because the current is going to be voltage by resistance. Voltage is 1000, resistance is 0.5, it is going to 2000 amperes. So we have to revise the thyristor rating to 2000 amps. Is it clear? You are right, sir. So we have to revise. Now let us suppose that we don't have a thyristor of 2000 amperes, only 1000 amperes to be used. What we have to do? We don't have a thyristor of 2000 amperes, and we have to use only this thyristor in this circuit. What we have to do? No, voltage is 1000 only. Voltage rating is 1000 only. Applied voltage is only 1000. That is not changed. Voltage is 1000. Yes. So increase the resistance to 1. No. What should be the change? Already the load 0.5 ohm. This is the load resistance. No resistance. No, sir. That is okay. What we have to do? This is the load resistance 0.5. What we have to do? The total resistance in the circuit should be 1 ohms to restrict it to 1000 amperes. But already the resistance is 0.5 ohm is already there in the load resistance. What we have to do? Yes, correct. Rameshji, you are right. So we are going to put another circuit. R external is equal to 0.5 ohms. Is it clear? So we are now learning to design a thyristor circuit. Is it clear? So we have going to put an external resistance of 0.5 so that the current is equal to voltage by R load plus R external. It is 1000 volts, 0.5 plus 0.5 is equal to 1000 amperes. Now by putting this, practically what we have done, we have been able to use a thyristor of this rating, but what things we have compromised in the process? Very good. That is okay. We have put an external resistance. By doing this jugglery, what have we compromised with? Yes, you are right. Power loss. Because this power loss, P load. P load is equal to I square into 0.5. This is the actual requirement of the load. But this external resistance, I square into R external, that is an extra load. So basically 1000 square into 0.5 power loss. So this is the power loss will take place by doing this jugglery. We will be able to use this thyristor for this particular load, but we have to put an external resistance. So there are going to be capital cost. We have to purchase an external resistance and put it. Second thing is that there is been operational losses of running operational losses of I square R into external, that is not required, but that has to be done. Okay. So this is what is going to happen. Is it clear? Now let us say if you don't want to use this R external, what we have to do? Very good. So by doing this, what we are doing is we are incurring a capital cost of this resistance. We have to put an external resistance. Also there will be operational loss, running losses, O&M losses of I square R into current, that is known. Suppose I don't want to use this external resistance. I don't want to use because I don't have money for the capital and what I have to do. Now we are going further inside. We were using thyristor, then your thyristor will blast. So, but we have the 0.5 ohm resistance. We have a thyristor. Now, in case this 1000 volt is there and the external load resistance is this, and the current rating capacity of the load is 1000 amperes only, what we have to do? Instead of thyristor, we can use a transistor, GTO or a transistor, on and off. So this is going to give him 500 volts. Basically this is going to operate on and off, and it is going to this 1000 volts DC will be converted into 500 volt DC. So what is the type of converter we will be using here? A fixed DC voltage has to be reduced to 500 volts. So what is the type of converter we will be using here? Instead of thyristor, we will be using a GT or a transistor. What is the type of converter it is? Chopper, correct. Bakulji, you are right. So we are using a chopper. Which type of chopper? Anyway, I am going to discuss when the chopper will come, but just to give you a curiosity, DC to DC, chopper is always DC to DC. Fixed DC is converted into variable DC. This chopper is what it is doing. It is converting DC to DC, that is okay. Fixed to variable is done, but what actually it is doing? It is doing reducing the voltage, correct Bakulji. So this, when the voltage, fixed voltage is reduced, that is called what type of chopper? This is called step down chopper. Anyway, we are going to study it. Now sir, Nishanji, pulse width modulation is a technique we will be using in inverters. Okay. PWM is a technology we will be using in inverters from DC to AC, that we will be studying. That is a concept, very interesting. But this is called step down chopper, mean DC to DC we will do it, and in the process this is stepping down, so it is called step down chopper. What are the other types of choppers? Anyway, we are going to discuss what are the other types of choppers. Yes please, just put your mind, when the fixed voltage is reduced, this is called step down chopper. What could be the anything else? Any other type of chopper could also be there. Correct, Ramesh, could step up. Just like step up. Step up chopper. Just put your mind. So what it will be doing? 1000 volts here, and there is a switch here, and it is going to make 2000 volts. This is called step up chopper. Anyway, we will be discussing in how the voltage can be stepped up, how the voltage can be reduced. Can you think of something else? This is step down and step up is okay. Can you think of something else? Some another chopper is also there. What could it be? Just guess. Very good, that step down, step up you have shown. Anything else is also there. That is a advanced quadrant is okay. That anyway we are going to discuss. That is a concept in quadrant. We will be thyristor chopper 4 quadrant operation we will be studying. That is the study of the choppers in different quadrants, whether it is a generator, whether it is regeneration mode or in the load mode, that we will be discussing. But basically step down, there is another chopper in which the both facilities, step up and step down. Step up oblique step down chopper. the same chopper, we have the facility to step up and step down. As Bakul Narayana said, that is the type of chopper that is going to take care of the quadrant, 4-quadrant operation that we will be studying with this step up and step down. The one chopper is having the facility to both increase or decrease based on the requirements of the load. So that type of chopper is the most versatile chopper. It is going to do many things for us. Okay. So anyway, we will be discussing when the chopper will come, we will be discussing it, but because we were just passing through it, so I thought that let me just introduce you to this concept. So I think now this problem you have understood, you have got some insights also. Whenever the load is there, whenever the thyristor ratings are there, if we have to do something, now again I am coming to that voltage. Again voltage is 1000 volts, and then we have got a thyristor. Then let us say we have got 1 ohm of load RL, so we have got the 1000 amperes current, and the load resistance is 1 ohm, that is okay, and the voltage is positive negative. So thyristor is rated for V is equal to 1000 and current is equal to 1000, and it is having di by dt is equal to 10 to the raised power 6 ampere per second. Now can you use this thyristor? What more modifications are required, if any? Is it enough that you are restricting the current of this circuit to 1000 amperes, the rating of the thyristor? Is it enough or something else is also required? My question is that when you are using thyristors, you have to only see the steady state current of 1000 rated current of the thyristor, or something else is also to be seen? Yes, you are right, sir. So we have to reduce the di by dt. V is equal to L di by dt. If di dt has to be reduced, so inductor has to, so basically di by dt is equal to voltage by L. Okay, the voltage, so based on this di by dt, the L has to be decided. Okay, so yes, you are right, the impedance of the circuit. So we have to design not just the resistance part for the steady state. Resistance is for the steady state. But for the transient sudden rise of current, we have to also put an inductor. We have also to put an inductor in series. Okay. I think now you have understood when we are using a thyristor, we have to be very careful. Starting current is di by dt is also important, and finally the steady state current is important. For the steady state, the resistance value should be there, and for the dynamic starting current, the inductance should also be there. Let us say which type of load is the best load for a thyristor. Which type of load is the best for the thyristor? I am just asking. This is a load, LOAD. Load, let us say one load is resistive, pure resistive. Another is inductive. And third is resistive plus inductive. For which type of load the thyristor is best? Correct. I think you are, now we have understood. No, Bakulji, not resistive. Resistive will only ensure the steady state value. If inductive is there, it is going to reduce the di by dt. It will take care of di by dt. This will take care of the current. Bakulji, is it okay? When you are using the thyristor, we have to see that the di by dt rating of the thyristor and the steady state value of the current both are respected and met. Is it okay? So in case the current is going more, we have to put R external in series with the already load. This load is already there, RL and L load already there. So in series with this, if the steady state value is increasing, so you have to put external, add external load. In this case, if di by dt is not met, we have to write L external. So this type of load, if already there, so we have to see whether the di by dt and the current is met or not. Otherwise, we have to use external resistance and external inductance. Now, if your Using the external resistance, you know that the losses will take place. This is going to cost money. Addition of this is going to cost money, but then that has to be done. If we have to respect, we have to save the thyristor, or we have to revive the thyristor rating to higher I and di by dt. Either you invest money for increasing the cost of the thyristor with higher values of current and di by dt, or if the values of current and or the di by dt and the current rating of thyristors are less, then you have to use external resistance and external inductance so that the same smaller size thyristor can be used to meet the load. But of course, with that there will be capital cost of RXL and L external, and also there are going to be certain power which will be continuously wasted. So efficiency is going to be slightly less. Is it clear to everyone? Okay, fine. Now I am going to go back to the thyristor characteristics. Now I think constructionally and operationally I have explained what is a thyristor. Okay, plus the firing circuits of thyristors will be started from the next class. Okay, so thyristor part is almost clear. So I am going to solve one problem, which is, before that I am going to start with the ideal characteristics of thyristor, which I have already covered. We will just briefly review it. After that we are going to draw a practical static characteristic of a thyristor. We will briefly understand it, and after that we are going to solve one problem in which two thyristors are connected in series with slightly different static characteristics. With that the thyristors per se would be clear. Okay, we will be closing it today. Static IV characteristics of a thyristor. Constructionally and operationally everything is clear to you in thyristor. When very detail and depth we have gone. Now you know that the IV characteristics means the current is in the y-axis and the voltage is in the x-axis, and this is positive and this is negative voltage, negative current. Okay, now ideal characteristic means that this is the ideal characteristics. It means what? This means what? This point is what? This point is what? V forward blocking voltage. Okay, so this means what? When the forward voltage is applied across the thyristor and this point is this, it means what? It means that higher the value of this voltage, better will be the rating of the thyristor. So ideally speaking, infinite is the best. We have already discussed this. Now if this is straight line, now let us draw a practical characteristic of a thyristor when the forward voltage is applied. V forward blocking voltage is applied. Now what is going to be changed in this? In the ideal characteristics, the forward is VB. In the practical, this is the ideal characteristics. Ideal characteristics of thyristor. Static. This is the practical characteristics. Practical characteristics of thyristor. This is current, this is voltage. Yes. If the forward voltage is applied, what are you expecting for a practical thyristor? What are you expecting? Just think. If you apply a forward voltage across a thyristor in which gate is not fired, it is not conducting. So what are you practically expecting? Ideally it was straight line, practically it will be how much? How will it look like? Whether there will be any leakage forward current, yes or no? For anything, if any insulator we applied voltage, some leakage current is there. So when the voltage is applied, actually I leakage, IL is I forward leakage. So I forward leakage is equal to small leakage current when VF is applied. Is it clear? So this is going to be our point. Is it clear to you? Yes, correct. Small leakage current will be there Because it is a positive, the positive current will come. Now, when it starts conducting, what will happen? When the gate is fired, what will happen? In ideal characteristics, what will happen? Directly it will go like this. It will go to current. Directly the current it will be start conducting, and there will not be voltage drop. There will be no, when the voltage is applied, there is no leakage current here. When the current is flowing, there is no voltage drop here. When this is there, the current is there, the current is going to be like this. So whenever the current is there, some voltage drop will take place, V drop. And V drop is nothing but current into R on drop. When it is conducting, what is the resistance of the semiconducting device? That current which is flowing at this point, the current and the resistance drop. So that is the drop. In the practical circuit will be like that. Now in the ideal characteristics, if the reverse voltage is applied very large, so we are going to have V forward blocking here. This is V anode current, and this is going to be V reverse blocking. Negative voltage is there. So in ideal condition, though, no reverse current will be there, but in the practical case, when the VB is there is going to be some leakage current. And if V reverse blocking, now if this slightly increase and it is suddenly going to break. So this is going to be the characteristics of a practical thyristor. Is it clear? When the forward blocking voltage is there, some leakage current will be there. When the gate is fired, IG fired, it starts conducting. So practically idle is fired, I gate triggering. So it will go to this. And again from this conduction state to reverse, how it comes? From conduction to reverse, how it comes? Anyway, this is we are going to discuss next class. This is very interesting. I am going to say, whenever the current is going to zero, whenever the current is going to go zero, current zero, in that case, if you apply the reverse negative voltage, this will suddenly come to this point. This will suddenly come to, from here it is going to come this point. So reverse blocking voltage will be put. And after that, what happens? Let us say this is the current, and let us say this is the voltage waveform. Anyway, we are going to discuss in detail this. I am just telling you, this is the forward voltage, this is the reverse voltage, this is voltage waveform, this is the current waveform. Okay, the current zero crossing is there, and once the current zero crossing is there, at this instant, this particular thing, it is this. We are going to come like this. Now, once again the next cycle of current happens, again this particular voltage will be going to transition to this. From this to this. From this to this, positive voltage. Again we are going to the forward blocking condition. And this is the gate triggering. When we are triggering this, the conductions take place. Anyway, we are going to discuss in detail this, okay. So I just wanted to tell you, this is the practical thyristor characteristics. This is the ideal characteristic. In the ideal conduction condition, there will be no voltage drop. When the forward blocking is there, there is no leakage current. When the reverse voltage is there, blocking voltage is there is no leakage current. But practically there is going to be forward current. Practically there is going to be current. When the current is flowing, some voltage drop will take place, and that voltage drop is current into the R on resistance, the conduction resistance, when it is conducting the resistance of the semiconductor. Okay, that we have already known. And when the reverse voltage is applied, we are going to have some leakage current, and the leakage current goes very high when the reverse breakdown voltage is achieved, and suddenly very high current goes. Okay. One thing is very interesting, the physics of the reverse voltage and the physics of the forward voltage of a thyristor is entirely different. How the thyristor is blocking the forward voltage is a entirely different physics, and how the thyristor is blocking the reverse voltage is entirely different physics. But for a thyristor, generally the voltage, forward voltage and reverse voltage blocking capabilities are more or less the same. Only 90% is same. 90 to 95%. Okay. So if let us say the V forward blocking voltage is, let us say, 1050 volts and V reverse blocking is equal to 1000 volts. This is one thyristor. Another thyristor, V forward blocking is equal to 950 and V reverse blocking is equal to 1000 volts. This is the actual two thyristors. They have the forward and reverse voltage actually when experimentally done. So what should be considered the thyristor voltage rating? Thyristor voltage rating, what should be right? And herein what should be the thyristor voltage rating? Yes. Case 1, case 2. Experimentally we have found that in one thyristor the forward blocking voltage is 1050 and the reverse blocking voltage is 1000 volts. And there again a set of thyristors in the forward blocking is 950 and the reverse blocking thyristor. Now we have to give it to for the commercial production and we want to assign some voltage rating for this thyristor. What should be the thyristor rating in this case, case 1, and what should be the thyristor rating for the second case? Yes, please. Is it clear? The question is clear. There is slight difference between the forward and reverse voltages. Now if we have to give it to the, for commercially, we have to sell it to the market, what should be the nameplate rating, voltage rating of this thyristor in the case 1? Yes, what should it be? Rated voltage. Yes, you are right. Ramesh Krishnanji, you are right. Minimum voltage you have to use. So minimum voltage we are going to use. Okay. Here the thyristor, in the case 1, the rated voltage of the thyristor will be 950. Okay. In fact, we will be using it not even 950, you will have some margin, we will put it 900 volts. Some safety margin we will take. And in this case, we will keep it 1000 volts or 950 volts. Slightly less than the minimum voltage. We have to select the minimum voltage and slightly less. So that is how the thyristor voltage ratings are decided. Is it clear? And based on the thyristor rated current, we have to see that the external circuit, load circuit should be such that it should not violate the di by dt rating as well as the rating of the current. In case the di by dt rating or the current rating of the thyristors are getting violated by a particular type of load, it could be R load, it could be L load, it could be C load, it could be RL load, it could be RC load. It could be any loads. Different types of loads are there. We have to study the load and accordingly we have to decide the thyristors. In case we don't have any thyristor to meet that load, we have to put the external values of R and L. By doing that, we can make use of the thyristor for lower di by dt and lower current, but at the expense of some losses in the resistive losses. Inductance means, now if you are putting inductance, what we are doing? External inductance and external resistance, both are required to ensure that a lower rating of thyristors can be used for their particular load. What are we compromising if we are using R external? What are we losing? Yes, please. If R external has to be used, what is the compromise we are doing? Yes, we are doing losses. What else? Losses would be perennially. What else? Losses would be there. What else? That is a operational losses. Cost, correct. So cost, initial cost, capital cost plus maintenance cost. Because the resistance will also get spoiled now. It has to be repaired, it has to be maintained. So capital cost be there, maintenance cost be an operational loss. I square R losses. So this is, what about inductance? If we are using the inductance, what are the problems? External inductance, what are the things? What are the compromises we are doing? Practically, what are the compromises we are doing? Of course, we have higher supply voltage and higher VA rating. VA rating has to be increased because the reactive power will be drawn. What else? Inductance, VA rating has to be done. So we have to purchase a source, voltage should be slightly more. What else? That is higher, we have to have a higher supply, means cost will be there. That is good. What else? When an external inductance is, what else? Yes, please. If the inductance has to be, external inductance has to be, what else is the problem? What are the other things? Bakulji, others. This is also going to cost, capital cost. Capital cost, we have to purchase an external resistance, that is going to be capital cost. Okay. Operational cost will not be there. Operational cost will be there. We have to higher VA burden. We have to higher source supply should be a higher VA capacity. So there is going to be capital cost both in the purchase of external resistance and both in the choice of the higher supply. VA rating of the supply should be more. So that is going to have the long-term impact. There is a third impact operationally. What is that? When we are using inductance, what we are doing? When we are using inductor, by using inductor, if the resistive is there, the response is very fast, very quickly the load is more. If the load is there, the current is suddenly this. When inductance is there, there is a slow rise in the current. And this means that the speed of response of the circuit is reduced. The speed of response to the supply, to the load is reduced. So response time is poor or higher time is required. Response time is poor when the inductance is used. Okay. So response time is poor. Response time is more, which is not good. We are slowing down. It is slowing down. By using an inductor, we are slowing down the system. The response time is going to reduce. But yes, we can use a thyristor of smaller rating. So indirectly we are saving cost. So we have to make a trade-off between the higher cost with the cost of the thyristor vis-a-vis the cost of the external RNL and the operational cost linked with the external RNL. Okay, is it clear? So I think for next class we will be discussing about the two thyristors connected in series with slightly different static characteristics and how it works practically. Okay. Yes, certainly sir. Okay, Bhakulji, fine. We will continue the next class. We are closing for today.